How's it going, everybody? Marvel Cross 316 back on another comic book flashback. Today we are looking at the Fantastic Four issue number 8. This issue came out in November of 1962, and we are looking at the first appearance of the Puppet Master. He is a classic villain of the Fantastic Four, and we have an exciting story to look at today. So let's go ahead and dive into today's story. As always, this is brought to you by King Kirby, who drew just masterfully here, and we also have Stan Lee doing the authorship on this. And so we have a great story to go ahead and dive into. So let's go ahead and get started. And so we start out the issue here with Mr. Fantastic telling Sue Storms and Johnny Storms to keep the Thing out of his lab. And we're wondering, what in the world, why is Mr. Fantastic telling the Thing to stay out of his lab? And we see here that the Thing takes offense at that. And he feels like the members of the Fantastic Four have been pushing him around, and they only call him Ben when they want him to do something for them. And so he just starts getting angry here, and he starts lashing out. We see here that the Human Torch tries to calm down the Thing with his flame, and we see that just makes the Thing even more angry. And we see here that Mr. Fantastic steps in here, and he blows out all of the flames here with his blowtorch. And we see here that Mr. Fantastic trying to explain to the Thing, look, I'm going to explain to you. And then we see here that the Thing says, stow it, chum. I'm fed up to here with your smooth talk. And so we see here that the Thing is going to walk out of the Fantastic Four building. It looks like he's quitting the team here. And we see here that Mr. Fantastic tells Sue Storms here to go after the Thing here, so she turns invisible. They're out in the street. People are looking around. We see that the Thing is talking. They think he's talking to himself. And so these two guys go up to him and are like, who's the fancy lady you talking to, huh? And so all of a sudden, we see that the invisible girl, she knocks this guy down, and then we see the Thing, he wraps this, it looks like this post around this guy, and all of a sudden, while we see Invisible Girl and Thing, they're talking to each other, they look, and it looks like this guy is about to jump off of this bridge, the Washington Bridge, and he doesn't even know why he's doing this. This is kind of strange. Why is this going on? So we see that the Invisible Girl, she shoots off the Fantastic Four flare gun to alert the other members of the Fantastic Four, and Reed Richards and Johnny Storm sees that there is in fact a guy about to jump off this bridge. We see that Mr. Fantastic tries his best to reach out to grab a hold of him with his unique ability, but he cannot stretch that far, so he sends the Human Torch to retrieve this guy from falling to his death. We see that the person behind this is none other than the big villain of our story here, and that is the Puppet Master. And the Puppet Master, he has a unique ability here, as we come to find out, of controlling people through this clay, this radioactive clay that he's gotten a hold of, and he can form this clay and make it resemble any person or anything that he wishes. And so he sees here he's about to cause this person, this clay image of this person, to fall off the bridge. And all of a sudden, we see that the Human Torch saves this guy from falling to his death. And we see that the Puppet Master, he lashes out here and he's like, oh man, my finger. And we see that there's another person that comes into the room. And we also see this is the first appearance of Alicia. Alicia is his stepdaughter here, and we see that she always calls him father, but this is her stepfather. The Puppet Master is her stepfather, and we see here that the Puppet Master has some knowledge about the Fantastic Four, so now he's going to form an image of the Thing, and he's going to try to use the Thing for his advantage here. And it's just pretty unique. This is a pretty unique ability of the Puppet Master. He's now in control of the Thing, and we see here that the Invisible Girl notices that the Thing is not acting like himself. She sneaks in, and she's still invisible. And we see here that Alicia detects another heartbeat in the room here. And so now the Puppet Master knows that the Invisible Girl is inside this room. And so they all put on these gas masks here, and he turns on this gas machine, and it causes the Invisible Girl to become visible. She passes out, and the Puppet Master has an idea here. He takes a wig, puts on this Fantastic Four costume, and puts it all on Alicia, his stepdaughter. So now he's going to try to play a prank on the Fantastic Four by making Alicia look like the Invisible Girl. And we see that the Puppet Master is still in control of the Thing. So now he's going to use this to his advantage again. And another thing he's going to do is he's going to use the warden of this prison, and he's going to cause the warden to cause a jailbreak here. And so that's exactly what we're going to see coming up next here. We see that the Thing and this imposter Invisible Girl make their way back to the headquarters of the Fantastic Four. And now we're into part 3, and we see that the Thing is lashing out. And we know that Reed Richards, being very smart, he notices that the Thing is not acting like himself. And so we see what Mr. Fantastic was doing this entire time, why he wanted to keep the Thing out of his laboratory. We see that the Thing crashes into this liquid vials here, this formula, and this formula actually changes the Thing back to Ben Grimm. And so now the Ben Grimm is back to normal. He's like, wow, I feel like a jerk. This entire time I thought y'all hated me, but really you were just trying to find a cure so that I could be normal again. And we see here that Alicia Masters comes back to her senses. He's like, where am I? And the Thing, he turns back to the Thing. Ben Grimm turns back to the Thing, because we realize here that only when he has that liquid formula on his skin he'll remain Ben Grimm. But once it dries, he's back to being the Thing. And so now we know that the Fantastic Four has knowledge about the Puppet Master, and they also are going to find out that there is a jailbreak, and all of these criminals are on the loose, and only the Fantastic Four are going to be able to stop them. We see here that the Invisible Girl tries to sneak out here, but the Puppet Master is going to use a puppet of her. So now she is caught in the crossfire, but she uses this flare gun to alert the Fantastic Four. They make it back to the place where the Puppet Master is at, and now he has this giant robot, this big clay robot that he's going to try to use to attack the Fantastic Four. And we see that the Puppet Master uses a getaway here with this flying horse. And so again, this is a very unique villain. I have to say, this is a pretty cool villain. Out of all of the Fantastic Four villains, he is pretty unique. The Puppet Master is one of my favorite villains of the Fantastic Four. And now we see that once the Puppet Master got away, now the Fantastic Four are going to have to deal with this big jailbreak. And the Warden is being held hostage here. But the Fantastic Four, as we know, they're going to stop this from getting too hectic here. So we see that the Thing in Part 5 is going to form his own jail cell here, this little cage, to get a lot of the prisoners to stop doing what they're doing. We see that they fire a bunch of bullets at Mr. Fantastic. He pretty much ricochets them back at the people. So now we see that Fantastic Four are back in control, and that this jailbreak has been put to an end. Now let's return back to the place of the Puppet Master, and we see that the Puppet Master now has formed an image of himself, this clay puppet of himself, and his big goal here is he wants to be the master of the world. He wants to control all these nations and just have them be doing his bidding, and in fact have the Fantastic Four serve him as slaves. And so we see that Alicia realizes what her stepfather is up to. She tries to take that puppet away from him. She trips, and then all of a sudden he falls out of the window here. And so we don't know exactly if the puppet master survived that fall or not. We'll find out maybe later on in the next few issues. But as we know for sure, Alicia now really doesn't have anywhere to stay, so we'll figure out what's going on next issue, whether Alicia will continue to make appearances in future Fantastic Four issues. But I hope you like this issue, and until next time when we look at issue number 9, keep reading comics.